All right, so you're here ready to really dive in. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be taking a deep dive into a book that's gotten a lot of buzz. It's called Os Segredos da Mente Milionaria.
Secrets of the Millionaire Mind,
Mm,
for those of us who don't speak Portuguese.
right, exactly. It's by Harv Eker. And, this book really challenges some of the traditional ideas about why some people seem to effortlessly become wealthy while others struggle financially, even if they're working really hard.
It is interesting how he kind of flips the script on all the usual suspects, Like he says, it's not necessarily about your education, intelligence, talent, or even the opportunities you get.
Yeah, exactly. And what makes this even more intriguing is that T. Harv Eker, the author, actually went through his own financial struggles before he became a millionaire, and he did it in just 2.5 years. Pretty remarkable.
It is quite a story. And now he runs this really successful company called Peak Potentials Training. You might have heard of it. They're known for these huge seminars and courses, all centered around what he calls the millionaire mind.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're going to explore in this deep dive. We're going to unlock the secrets of the millionaire mind, according to T. Harv Eker. And specifically, we're going to dig into this central idea that he presents this concept of a personal money blueprint that each of us has, kind of like a subconscious program that basically dictates our financial reality.
Yeah, that's right. And this money blueprint idea is really at the core of Eker's whole philosophy. He says that it's this deeply ingrained set of beliefs and attitudes about money that we've often developed without even realizing it. And these beliefs really influence our financial decisions and ultimately determine our level of success.
So let's unpack this money blueprint a little further, right? The book basically argues that deep within our subconscious, we've got this program running, and it's kind of like the operating system for our financial lives. And one of the most fascinating insights that Eker presents is that even if you're at the top of your game, a real expert in your field, if your internal money blueprint isn't set for significant success, it's going to be really tough to create lasting wealth. He uses this analogy of a master chef with amazing recipes, but an oven that only goes up to 200 degrees. You can have all the talent and knowledge in the world, but if your internal oven isn't powerful enough, you're not going to reach your full potential.
That's a great analogy. It really highlights the importance of both skill and capacity, right? You need the external skills, the knowledge, the know-how, but you also need that underlying capacity, that internal programming that allows you to fully utilize those skills.
Exactly. And that's where Eker's distinction between these internal and external rules of money comes in. We tend to focus so much on the external stuff, like budgeting, investing strategies, building a business. But Eker says that the inner game, what's going on in our minds, is the real driver. It's like this computer and printer analogy he uses. Our financial situation is the printout, the result we see. But trying to fix our financial problems just by focusing on the printout is like trying to fix a computer problem by fiddling with the printer. The real change needs to happen at the level of the program, which in this case is our mental, emotional, and even, he suggests, our spiritual beliefs about money.
It's about going beyond just addressing the symptoms, right? You have to dig deeper and look at the root cause, that underlying programming that's generating those results in the first place.
Right. And this brings us to one of Eker's fundamental principles of wealth he lays out in the book. The idea that money, wealth, health, even our weight are all results of underlying causes. So if you're struggling financially, the lack of money itself isn't the problem. It's more like a symptom. It's a sign that there's something deeper going on. Think of it like a warning light on your car dashboard. The light itself isn't the problem. It's telling you that there's a problem somewhere else that needs to be addressed.
It's information, right? A signal. It's telling you something is out of alignment. And Eker really emphasizes that if you want to see real, lasting change in your financial life, you have to go inward. You have to modify those deeply held beliefs and that subconscious programming.
And that leads to another really important principle of wealth that Iker highlights. He says that when our subconscious beliefs about money conflict with our logical, conscious desires, our emotions are almost always going to win out. You might consciously want to be wealthy, you might even have a great plan, but if your subconscious is full of these negative or limiting beliefs about money, those ingrained emotions are going to sabotage your efforts every time.
It's a reminder of the incredible power of the subconscious mind. It's operating below the surface, but it's driving so much of our behavior. We might not even be aware of those beliefs, but they're there and they're impacting our financial decisions.
Exactly. So we've established that this money blueprint is incredibly powerful. But where does it actually come from? Well, Ecker says it primarily gets formed during our childhood. It's through what he calls programming, and he breaks it down into three main sources.
Those early years are so formative, right? We're absorbing information like sponges. And those early experiences, even the ones that we might not even remember consciously, can really shape our beliefs about the world, including our beliefs about money.
Absolutely. So let's take a closer look at those three sources of programming. First, we have verbal conditioning. This is all the things we heard about money growing up. Aker gives this really interesting example of a guy named Stephen who attended one of his seminars. Stephen had this deep-seated belief that rich people were inherently mean. And it turned out this belief stemmed directly from his mother's past experiences and all the negative things she used to say about wealthy people.
It's amazing how these early verbal cues from our parents or caregivers can solidify into these really powerful beliefs,
Yeah.
often without us even realizing it. We inherit their perspectives on money, and those perspectives become our reality.
Right. And what's remarkable about Stephen's story is that once he understood where this belief came from, he was able to consciously challenge it. And within just 2 years, he saw a dramatic improvement in his own financial situation.
That's a perfect example of how becoming aware of those subconscious beliefs and their origins can be so empowering. It allows us to start to take control of our financial destiny rather than just being unconsciously driven by these inherited perspectives.
The second source of programming is modeling, which is essentially learning by observation. We watch how our parents and other influential figures in our lives deal with money, and we unconsciously pick up their habits and attitudes.
It's like that old saying, monkey see, monkey do, right? We learn so much just by observing the behaviors of those around us, especially during those early formative years.
Exactly. Eker tells this funny but insightful story about a woman who always cut the ends off her ham before putting it in the oven. When her husband asked her why she did that, she simply said, "Well, that's how my mother always did it." And it turns out her mother only did it because her roasting pan was too small. It's a classic example of how we often just mindlessly repeat these learned behaviors without ever questioning their relevance or validity.
It makes you wonder about some of your own financial habits, right?
Mhm.
Where did those come from? Are they really serving you? Or are they just unconscious patterns that you've inherited?
Exactly. And that leads us to the third piece of the programming puzzle, which Earhart calls specific incidents. These are those significant childhood experiences involving money that can leave a really strong emotional imprint.
Sometimes a single event can be so powerful that it creates a lasting association in our minds. And when it comes to money, those associations can be either positive or, unfortunately, quite negative.
He shares this really moving story about a woman named Josie who was a nurse and earning a decent income, but she consistently found herself spending everything she made and struggling financially. And through some deep self reflection, she realized that as a child she had witnessed a very traumatic event. Her father had collapsed and died of a heart attack during a heated argument with her mother about money.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful example of how a single event, especially one that's emotionally charged, can
Mhm.
create this deep-seated negative association with money.
Right. And from that day forward, her subconscious had basically linked money with pain and loss. So it's no surprise that she was subconsciously trying to get rid of money as quickly as possible. It was like a defense mechanism. But once she understood this, she was able to consciously address that old money blueprint. And not only did she achieve financial independence, but she actually made a major career change and became a financial planner driven by this desire to help others understand their own financial programming.
It's amazing how understanding those underlying beliefs can not only transform our financial lives, but also lead us to new paths and new purposes.
Eager even shares a personal story about his wife. Growing up, whenever the ice cream truck would come around, she'd ask her mom for money, and her mom would always say, "Sorry, honey, I don't have any. Go ask your father." So, what did she learn from that repeated experience? She learned that men have money and women don't, and that seemingly insignificant interaction played out in their marriage. She would subconsciously get rid of any money she earned. It was like she didn't feel worthy of having her own money, like it was his role to provide.
Wow, that's fascinating how these small, repeated interactions can shape our beliefs without us even realizing it. It's like these little messages get implanted in our subconscious and then they play out in our adult lives.
It wasn't until she consciously addressed that childhood programming that things started to shift for her, both in terms of her spending habits and her overall sense of financial independence within their marriage. So, understanding these three sources of programming, verbal conditioning, modeling, and specific incidents, really lays the groundwork for the next part of Eker's book, where he introduces this concept of wealth files. These are essentially 17 key differences in how rich people think and act compared to those who have a poor or middle class mentality.
Yeah, these wealth files are like a blueprint for developing a millionaire mindset. They're not just about specific financial strategies, but more about the underlying thought patterns and beliefs that support wealth creation.
Right. So let's dive into the first one. Wealth file, #1, is all about taking ownership of your life. Rich people believe, I create my life. Poor people, on the other hand, tend to believe that life happens to me. It's a fundamental difference in mindset and ultimately in results.
It really boils down to this idea of locus of control. Do you believe that you're in control of your life and your outcomes, or do you feel like you're at the mercy of external circumstances? The answer to that question has a huge impact on how you approach everything, including your finances.
Exactly. And Eker explains that people with a poor mindset often fall into this trap of playing the victim game. They blame their circumstances on external factors, they justify their current situation, or they just complain all the time. He even gives this interesting challenge: try to go 7 whole days without complaining.
7 days without complaining. That sounds tough.
I know, right? But he says that most people find it incredibly difficult, which really highlights how ingrained this habit of complaining can be. And he draws a direct line between this victim mentality and financial self sabotage. When you're constantly blaming external forces, you're essentially giving away your power to change things.
It's about shifting from a mindset of helplessness to a mindset of empowerment,
Right.
right? Taking responsibility for your financial situation is the first step towards actually improving it.
Exactly. And to counter that victim mentality, Ecker offers this powerful declaration that he encourages people to repeat: I create my own degree of financial success. I have a millionaire mind. It's about consciously affirming this belief, reprogramming your subconscious mind to align with this idea of taking ownership and creating your own reality.
Declarations like that can be surprisingly powerful. It's like you're planting a seed in your subconscious mind. And with repetition, that seed can grow into a new belief system that actually supports your financial goals.
And he also uses this interesting analogy of the universe as a kind of mail order department. He says that the universe is constantly responding to the energy of our beliefs through the law of attraction. But if we have these conflicting wealth files, one part of us wanting wealth and another part subconsciously fearing it, we're sending out mixed signals and the universe gets confused about what to deliver.
It's like sending out an order for a new car, but then simultaneously sending out another order for a flat tire. You're not going to get what you truly desire if you're sending out these conflicting messages.
Right. And the last point Ecker makes about this first wealth file is that people with a rich mindset are willing to put in the hard work, the effort, to make the sacrifices in the short term if it means achieving significantly greater success in the long run. They understand that success often requires delayed gratification.
They're playing the long game. They're not just looking for quick fixes or easy wins. They're willing to invest the time and energy necessary to build something truly lasting.
Exactly. And that brings us to wealth file, #2. Rich people play the money game to win, whereas poor people often play not to lose. It's a fundamental difference in their overall approach and their underlying goals.
The focus is completely different. Those who are playing to win, their objective is abundance. They're aiming for significant wealth and prosperity. Those who are playing not to lose, they're primarily concerned with security. They just want to get by, avoid financial setbacks.
Yeah.
It's a very defensive posture.
Right. And that defensive posture can really limit your potential for growth. Which brings us to wealth file, #3. Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. And Eker emphasizes the huge difference between just wanting something and being truly committed to achieving it.
It's the difference between a casual desire and a deep, unwavering resolve, right? When you're truly committed, you're willing to do whatever it takes, within ethical and legal bounds, of course.
He talks about his own experience starting his fitness equipment business. He wasn't just hoping for success, he was completely committed to making it happen. He says quitting wasn't even an option until he had achieved millionaire status.
It's like that burning desire, that fire in your belly that propels you forward. It's not just a wish, it's a deep driving force. And that kind of commitment can help you overcome any obstacle.
All right, let's move on to wealth file, #4. Rich people think big. Poor people tend to think small. And this isn't just about the specific amount of money they're aiming for. It's about the scale of their vision and the impact they want to make.
Thinking small keeps you stuck in a box, right? It limits your potential. Thinking big opens up a whole new world of possibilities and opportunities.
Eker argues that playing small doesn't serve anyone, including yourself. He connects this idea of thinking big to the value we add to the lives of others. He quotes Buckminster Fuller, who said, "The purpose of our lives is to add value to the people of this generation and those that follow." He also defines an entrepreneur as someone who profits by solving other people's problems. And he points out that the more people you help, the richer you'll be in all aspects of life, not just financially.
It's about shifting from a self-centered perspective to a service-oriented mindset. When your focus is on providing value to others, the financial rewards often follow naturally.
Exactly. He even quotes Marianne Williamson saying, "Your playing small does not serve the world. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same." It's about embracing your full potential, stepping into your greatness, and inspiring others to do the same.
It's this ripple effect, right? One person's courage and success can inspire countless others, and that creates a more positive and abundant world for everyone.
And on a more practical level, Eker talks about this corridor strategy. If you have a big goal, like getting into a particular industry or field, sometimes the best way to get there is to just get your foot in the door in any role and learn the business from the inside out. It's better than waiting around for the perfect opportunity, which might never come.
It's about taking action, gaining experience, building connections, and being open to unexpected opportunities along the way.
Now let's talk about wealth file #5. Rich people focus on opportunities, while poor people tend to focus on obstacles. It's a classic but crucial difference in perspective.
It's about how you choose to frame challenges,
Yeah.
right? Do you primarily see roadblocks, or do you actively seek out the possibilities that might be hidden within those challenges?
And that leads us to wealth file #6, which is a bit more sensitive. Rich people admire other rich and successful people. Poor people often resent them.
Resentment is such a negative emotion, and it can really hold you back. Admiration, on the other hand, can be incredibly inspiring, can open you up to new possibilities, and even teach you valuable lessons.
Eker is very honest about his own struggles with this. He shares a story about how he used to get upset when he saw people driving expensive cars or when he heard about celebrities making huge amounts of money. And then he realized that this resentment was actually blocking him from achieving the same level of success.
It's like you're pushing away the very thing you want to attract.
Right. And he also challenges this common stereotype that all rich people are dishonest or greedy. He says that in his experience, most wealthy people are actually very ethical and generous individuals. He even shares a story about how he moved into a wealthy neighborhood and found his neighbors to be incredibly kind and philanthropic.
It's a reminder that wealth doesn't automatically make you a bad person. In fact, it often allows you to do more good in the world.
And to counter those feelings of resentment, Eger offers another powerful declaration. I admire rich people. I bless rich people. I love rich people. And I'm going to be a rich person too. I have a millionaire mind.
It's about consciously shifting your energy and your attitude towards wealth and those who have achieved it. It's about creating a positive association in your mind.
And he gives this really practical millionaire mind action based on the Huna philosophy, which is simply to bless that which you want. So if you want to attract more wealth into your life, bless the wealth of others, appreciate it, send positive energy towards it.
It's about shifting from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance, which can help to attract those things that you desire.
Okay, let's move on to wealth file #7. Rich people associate with positive and successful people. Poor people tend to associate with negative or unsuccessful individuals. It's all about the power of your social environment.
The people we surround ourselves with have a huge impact on our mindset, our beliefs, our habits. We tend to absorb the energy of those around us, so it's crucial to be mindful of who you're spending your time with.
Beaker points out that wealthy people often join high-class clubs and organizations, not just for the activities, but for the networking opportunities. He emphasizes the importance of building relationships with successful people and learning from their experiences. And there's that old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. There's definitely some truth to that.
Building a strong network of positive and successful individuals can open so many doors. It can provide you with access to new ideas, opportunities, and perspectives that you might not have otherwise encountered.
He also shares a really inspiring story about Perdita Felician, the world champion hurdler who famously fell during the Olympics. And despite that very public setback, she maintained this incredibly positive and resilient attitude. She focused on learning from the experience and coming back even stronger. It's a great example of a successful mindset in action.
Yeah, it's about having that mental toughness, that ability to bounce back from setbacks, and even to use those setbacks as fuel for growth. That's a hallmark of successful people.
And Eker gives some very practical advice on how to cultivate a more supportive social environment. He suggests joining upscale clubs or organizations, going to events where successful people tend to gather, distancing yourself from negative influences, and even being mindful of the type of media you consume because negativity can be contagious.
It's all about creating an environment that supports your growth and your goals, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and lift you up.
Now let's talk about Wealth File #8, which is about self-promotion. Rich people are willing to promote themselves and their value. Poor people often have a lot of negative thoughts about selling or self-promotion. It can be a real obstacle for a lot of people.
Yeah, there's this discomfort with tooting your own horn, right? Like it's somehow arrogant or boastful to talk about your accomplishments or the value you bring.
Eker says there are a few reasons why people might feel this way. Maybe they've had bad experiences with pushy salespeople in the past, or they have a fear of rejection, or they were taught that it's not polite to brag. But he emphasizes that in the real world, if you don't promote yourself, no one else is going to do it for you.
It's not about being arrogant. It's about being confident and effectively communicating the value that you offer.
Exactly. And he uses that classic analogy of building a better mousetrap. It's not enough to just create something amazing. You have to let people know about it. You have to sell it. And he points out that most wealthy people are actually excellent promoters. They're passionate about what they do, and they're good at communicating that passion to others.
It makes sense, right? If you believe in what you're doing, if you're genuinely excited about it, that enthusiasm is going to shine through and it's going to be contagious.
Right. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, even says that every business, even writing books, is ultimately a sales business. And Eker points out that leaders are often very good at self-promotion, and leaders tend to earn more money. He even states this as a principle of wealth. Leaders earn a great deal more money than followers.
That's a powerful statement. And it makes sense, right? To be an effective leader, you need to be able to inspire people, to rally them around a shared vision. And that often requires strong communication and self-promotion skills.
That leads us to Wealth File #9, which is about problem solving. Rich people are bigger than their problems. Poor people tend to be smaller than their problems. It's about your capacity to handle challenges.
It's not about the actual size of the problem, but about your own inner size, your ability to overcome obstacles and find solutions.
Eker says that the real issue isn't the problem itself, but your ability to deal with it effectively. He uses this great analogy of managing your energy. If you're good at managing your energy, you can accomplish so much more.
It's like having a larger tank of gas.
Yeah.
Right. You can go further, you can take on bigger challenges.
Right. And he emphasizes the importance of building your problem solving skills, developing your resilience, and learning to stay calm and focused under pressure. He also shares this simple but powerful story about a child given an ice cream cone to illustrate the importance of teaching financial responsibility early on. He argues that even small experiences like that can shape our ability to handle money and manage our resources effectively.
It's about developing those good habits from a young age, learning to delay gratification, and making conscious choices about how we use our resources.
He gives this really clear and practical advice. You must learn to control your money or it will control you. And he highlights how good money management can actually boost your confidence and have a positive spillover effect on other areas of your life.
It's true. When you feel in control of your finances, it frees up mental and emotional energy that you can then direct towards other goals and aspirations.
Now let's talk about Wealth File #10, which can be a bit counterintuitive. Rich people are excellent receivers. Poor people are often poor receivers.
This one can be a bit of a head scratcher for some people. We often hear that it's better to give than to receive, right? But Eker challenges that notion.
Exactly. He says that giving and receiving are actually two sides of the same coin. They're both equally important. And he uses this really vivid analogy of camping in the rain. Imagine you're camping and it starts pouring rain. Abundance is all around you, but if you've got your tent zipped up tight, you're not going to get any of that rain.
It's like you're blocking the flow of abundance by not being open to receiving.
He even shares his own personal affirmation. Universe, if anyone has something great coming to them and they're not willing to receive it, send it to me. I am open and willing to receive all your blessings. Thank you. It's about consciously cultivating an attitude of openness to receiving.
It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance, recognizing that there's more than enough to go around.
And he also addresses that common concern about feeling guilty for having money when others have less. He poses this question: what good can you really do for others from a position of lack? You can't truly help others if you're struggling yourself. And he states another one of his core principles of wealth: money will only make you more of what you already are.
That's a powerful concept to consider. If you're generous, having more money will simply allow you to be more generous. If you're stingy, well, more money might make you even more stingy.
And he offers some really practical millionaire mind actions for becoming a better receiver, like consciously indulging yourself regularly, allowing yourself to experience pleasure and abundance. It's about practicing that feeling of deservingness.
It's about breaking down those internal barriers to receiving those feelings of unworthiness or guilt that might be holding us back.
All right, moving on to wealth file hashtag 11. Rich people choose to be paid based on their results. Poor people choose to be paid based on their time. This is a fundamental difference in how they value their work and their potential.
Being paid for your results aligns your income with the value you actually create. Being paid for your time, on the other hand, can put a limit on your earning potential, regardless of how productive or talented you are.
Aker shares some advice his father gave him about the limitations of relying solely on a salary to build wealth, encouraging him instead to seek out opportunities for percentage-based pay or to even consider self-employment.
It's about taking ownership of your income potential, not just settling for a fixed amount, but aligning your earnings with the value you deliver.
He offers another powerful declaration: I prefer to be paid based on my results. I have a millionaire mind. And he gives some very practical advice on how to start shifting towards income models that are more directly tied to your outcomes, like negotiating performance-based bonuses or exploring entrepreneurial ventures.
It's about moving away from that traditional employee mindset of trading time for money and embracing a more entrepreneurial approach where your income is directly tied to the value you create.
Okay, now let's talk about wealth file hashtag 12. Rich people think both. Poor people tend to think either. It's the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mentality.
It's that limiting belief that you can only have one thing or the other, right? Like you can either have a fulfilling career or you can make a lot of money, but you can't have both.
Exactly, and Eckert challenges that belief. He says that the universe is fundamentally abundant and there's enough for everyone. He uses the example of a $5 bill circulating through the economy, creating value for multiple people along the way.
It's about expanding your perspective and recognizing that there are often multiple solutions, multiple paths to success, and that you don't always have to choose one thing at the expense of another.
Which leads us to wealth file hashtag 13. Rich people focus on their net worth, while poor people tend to focus primarily on their working income. This is a crucial distinction in how they measure their overall financial success.
Net worth is a much more comprehensive measure of your financial health. It takes into account your assets, your liabilities, your investments. Income is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. Aker breaks down the four key factors of net worth: income, savings, investments, and what he calls simplification, which essentially means reducing your expenses. And he emphasizes that net worth, not just your income, is the real measure of financial wealth.
It's about building a solid financial foundation, not just living paycheck to paycheck, but accumulating assets and creating long-term financial security.
He also talks about the importance of passive income, which is income that you generate without actively working for it, like income from investments or rental properties. He argues that building passive income streams is essential for achieving true financial freedom.
Passive income is the key to breaking free from that traditional model of trading your time for money. It's about creating a system where your money works for you rather than you always having to work for your money.
Exactly. And he offers another one of his key principles of wealth. Rich people view every dollar as a seed that can be planted and grown. He stresses the importance of financial education, learning about different investment strategies, and consistently making your money work for you.
It's about developing that investor mindset, seeing money as a tool that can be used to create more wealth, not just something to spend or hoard.
Okay, moving on to wealth file. Hashtag 14. Rich people manage their money well. Poor people, well, they might actually mismanage their money just as effectively, just on a smaller scale.
It's not always about how much money you have, but about how well you manage what you've got.
Right, exactly. It's about developing those good financial habits, no matter how much money you're currently working with. Iker uses the analogy of managing your energy again. If you're good at managing your energy, you can accomplish more. And it's the same with money.
It's about making conscious choices, being mindful of your spending, and creating a system that works for you.
He also shares a story about a child given an ice cream cone to illustrate how early experiences can shape our ability to handle money and make responsible financial decisions.
It's never too early to start teaching kids about money, about saving, about making smart choices.
He really advocates for establishing those good money management systems and making them habits, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first. He uses the analogy of training for a triathlon. You have to push yourself, you have to be disciplined, but the rewards are worth it.
It's about building that financial muscle, developing the discipline and the skills necessary to manage larger and larger sums of money as you progress on your financial journey.
And he offers this straightforward advice. You must control your money, or it will control you. And he highlights the positive ripple effects that good money management can have on other areas of your life. It can boost your confidence, reduce stress, and give you a sense of freedom and empowerment.
It's true. When you're not constantly worried about money, it frees up mental and emotional space to focus on other things that are important to you.
Okay, let's move on to wealth file, hashtag 15. Rich people have their money work hard for them, while poor people work hard for their money.
This is all about understanding the power of leverage,
Right.
right? Making your money work for you instead of constantly trading your time for money.
Eker emphasizes the importance of building those passive income streams and making smart investments. And he says that one of the main reasons why people don't focus on passive income is often simply a lack of education or a lack of role models who have shown them how to do it effectively.
Yeah, it's like a whole world of possibilities opens up when you start to understand the principles of passive income and investing. It's about creating a system where your money is constantly generating more money, even while you sleep.
He really encourages people to educate themselves about different investment strategies, to seek out mentors, and to start building those passive income streams as early as possible.
It's never too early to start thinking about your financial future and creating a plan that allows you to build wealth over time, not just in the short term.
All right, we're in the home stretch now. Wealth file hashtag 16 is all about overcoming fear. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them.
Fear is a natural human emotion, but it doesn't have to control us. Successful people have learned to manage their fear and take action even when they're feeling scared or uncertain.
Eker states another powerful principle of wealth. If you are willing to do only what's